Bonjour, sveiki, good afternoon, Your Excellency Ambassador, distinguished guests, professors. I'm honored to congratulate you with this event, which is happening in hybrid mode, both here offline, and also we have some participants and viewers who are participating in this event also online. We will Research Council of Lithuania by national contact points of Research Council of Lithuania, and sorry for my French pronunciation, by Institut Français Lituanie, and also Lithuanian Research Development and Innovation Liaison Office. This event is happening due to our 30 years cooperation between Lithuanian and French counterparts. I would say that it would be very wonderful to participate in the event which will commemorate 300th anniversary of this cooperation, but probably I won't be participating in that, at least personally, but I very hopefully that this cooperation will be happening for many years forward. The event is Lithuanian-French Scientific Cooperation in Horizon Europe, Results and Perspectives. We will have a lot of distinguished speakers and very interesting presentations, but for a beginning, I would like to invite firstly to say congratulatory and welcome speech Professor Dr. Romas Baronas, who is the chairman of the Research Council of Lithuania. Please.
Bonjour, Madame and Monsieur, Your Excellency Ambassador, dear Mr. Pan, dear Mr. Buffin, dear representative of ministries, dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to welcome all of you to this collaborative Lithuanian-French conference for our science communities. French institutions and scientists were our second largest partners in Horizon 2020 program. In total, 189 collaborative links were developed. In addition, the program Jalibert has built a strong basis for a long-lasting relationship with the French science community. Today we are celebrating those existing collaborations and exploring the future ones. As we all know and agree, good partnership is a key leading to success in research and innovation. During this afternoon, you will hear from our partners and colleagues who will present examples of good collaborative practice. I would like to thank organizers of the conference, Research Council NCPs, LINO office in Brussels, and the French Institute led by Mr. Buffin for this event. I wish you all a productive afternoon. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor Baronas, for your welcome speech. And for the second welcome speech, I would like to invite Her Excellency Ambassador of France and Lithuania, Alix Everard. I just remind that the speakers may take their masks off. It is allowed in Lithuania, so feel free to do if you wish.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. President, Professor, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great pleasure for me to open, Mr. President, with you this joint Lithuanian-French seminar on research in the European framework, focusing in particular on the Horizon Europe program in order to reinforce our cooperation between our two countries, which I understand we're celebrating the 30 years. The previous cycle has proved very successful. France is the second partner of Lithuania in terms of a research project, with I think something like 765 projects, but we can still do better. And this is why we are here today, to explore avenues and possibilities for an even better cooperation. It's a strong political objective of both our governments, and it's been underlined in the what we call the strategic roadmap, which was signed between our two ministers for foreign affairs last year back in Vilnius. Now, research and innovation is a key policy, a key European policy to help building a sustainable future. And the COVID crisis, the COVID-19 crisis, has shown how essential cooperation, in particular in research and innovation, has been in finding ways to recover from this pandemic. And it's also cooperation in research and innovation, which will also pave the way for a greener, a more digital and a fairer future. Now, with Horizon Europe, we have a particularly ambitious EU research and innovation program with a number of guidelines and targets which have been set for the next decade. And Horizon Europe will focus, in addition to the objectives on the green and digital transition, but also on improving our health, our mobility, our energy efficiency, our food security, also on preserving the cultural heritage. And to address all of these challenges, it is paramount we strengthen our European capacity. And for this, we need stronger cooperations at all levels, European, national, regional, to create a kind of ecosystem in which universities, research centers, startups, innovation of all kinds can thrive together. Now, as you know, it's a strong conviction of President Emmanuel Macron, which I understand was made Dr. Honoris Causa last year by the University of Vilnius. We're very proud of that. That a strong European space of research and innovation is the key to our common future. And in his Sorbonne speech of 2017, he had set ambitious targets, such as the creation of European universities, as you will remember. And 4 years later, I must say, we can only be impressed by the results, as I am happy to underline that Lithuanian and the French universities are working together alongside other European universities in 4 alliances. There's the EU Connexus with La Rochelle et Klaipėda, Arcus with Lyon and Vilnius. There's also the ECIU-UN with INSA and the Kaunas University of Technology, and Athena with Orléans and the Vilnius Gediminas Technical University. As you know, also the French presidency of the European Council Union is about to start in a couple of months, and it is an important responsibility, and we will certainly do our utmost to push the files on the agenda, and in particular, the innovation and research will be high on our agenda. And during the first semester of the year 2022, the French Ministry for Higher Education, Science and Education will organize a dozen of events, which will include in particular an informal meeting of the ministers for higher education and research. There will also be 8 high-level conferences on topics related to building a common European space of higher education, research and innovation. And there will also be 3 thematic expert conferences on the same issue. I'll stop it there, but I believe together we can really deliver excellent results for Europe. And our meeting today provides certainly an excellent opportunity for discussion on this important matter. So thank you very much for your attention, for organizing this, for all the actors involved, and I wish you a very fruitful meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, dear Ambassador, for an inspiring message. We hope that we definitely will achieve those results together. Thank you. Thank you again. And for another presentation, I would like to invite Director of Institut Français, Thomas Bouffan, to present his presentation, please.
Thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I will just complete the most important Ambassador has said about our cooperation by pointing some things we realized to cope with until now, since the very beginning of scientific bilateral cooperation, and the issues at stake for the future. Very shortly, to put the political framework of this cooperation, if we could say, on the occasion of President Macron's visits in Lithuania last year, the roadmap of our strategic partnership was signed for the 5 years to come. Scientific cooperation is one of the key priorities of this strategic roadmap, alongside three main directions. First of all, develop cooperation in priority fields of scientific cooperation, that is to say, energy-related issue, environment, climate, and favorizing joint participation in all European research programs, and especially Horizon Europe. The second priority would be to keep on the pace on our bilateral cooperation tools, like the Gilibert program Mr. President has mentioned, which is at the core of the bilateral French-Lithuanian cooperation for 20 years now. And then to promote and make easier mobility of researchers, and so that more projects could begin, more ideas could come up. If we look into history, actually it's 30 years since Lithuania and France have got diplomatic relations, but our scientific cooperation has reached adulthood since this Gilibert program, which is a joint bilateral program of scientific projects on a 2-year cycle that are chosen by both Ministry of Research of both countries on the pre-assessment basis, so to speak, according to the project. It has started in 23. This is a 2 years short mobilities program that has now quite a good success when it comes to pardon me, when it comes to following of the project on European framework. The last 10 years, one could say that roughly 1/4 of the 50, 60, 17 project, Gilibert project that has been run in that time frame has been given afterwards European funding for continuing the project and developing it further. So I believe this shows that so far our bilateral cooperation has paid off, and we will continue on this direction. We will continue to engage the short mobility of researchers, and I want you to know that we can provide short scholarships for young doctorants and post-PhD students or young researchers if they want to have a short mobility in France for ranging from 2 weeks to 1 month on a particular topic. They should address to us if needed, of course. There is plenty of work to do. There is a challenge that both our countries is facing, is better answering to all the projects, fund initiatives that are available through the European channel. And therefore, both our management authorities are reinforced their human resources so that we could better mobilize. That is what we have to do the decade to come. That opens a new European budget cycle. And that's the aim of this meeting, to make those relations easier. And last word about which way the French Institute could assist you. It's actually the place where if you need information you don't have the time to look for, or you want to have or you don't know, you should not hesitate to address. We are following very closely all those research and innovation and higher education related projects and programs. And we will be very happy to help you in the future in your project. So I wish you everybody a good conference and a very good afternoon. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your message. And now I would like to invite Sandra Brikaitė, who is the head of Export and Investments Promotion Division, External Economic Relations and Economic Security Policy Department at Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Lithuania. Please, Sandra, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon. Can you hear me? Okay, yes. Can you hear me? Okay. So, Madam Ambassador, Chairman, Director, dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, it is a pleasure to take part in this event today on behalf of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and to talk about science diplomacy. I will not overestimate if I say that science is one of the cornerstones of our development of the societies and economies, and it is of immense importance in finding solutions to the problems we face today: global health problems, climate change, and others. And in our interconnected world, no country is an island, and no facet of its life can be developed in isolation. Today, we all have a chance to witness an international cooperation in science of an unprecedented scale. When COVID-19 struck, our scientists were very quick to share the information of research that led to such a rapid understanding of the disease and helped us finding quick solutions: medicines, vaccines, testing equipment, and precaution recommendations. In the same way, there could be more cooperation in other realms of science. For example, European Union has created a generous setting for science cooperation, with Horizon programs playing a crucial role. Those programs offer huge international cooperation opportunities. However, we have to acknowledge that Lithuania has not yet used these opportunities sufficiently enough. Last year, Lithuania ranked only 26 out of 28 member countries in terms of participation in Horizon 2020 programs. We certainly should strive for more involvement in Horizon Europe. Having spent 3 years working in France, I acknowledge the immense and rich scientific culture of the country. And not surprisingly, France ranked #2 as partner country in terms of collaborative links established by Lithuania in Horizon 2020. There were over 1,000 links established in common projects. And as I have already mentioned, you cannot do much alone in science. So Lithuania is ready to continue and to enhance cooperation with French scientists, research institutions, and clusters. And here I would like especially stress the importance of cooperation in the sector of life sciences. As you all probably know, Lithuania is the regional leader of life sciences with 20% annual growth and 2% of GDP, which is more than EU average. Over the years, joint efforts of business, science, and public sector to grow the ecosystem have delivered great results. Foreign investors and partners value Lithuanian researchers, the quality of their job, and create more opportunities for these high-level specialists. World-class talents come to study and stay in Lithuania. International scientific achievements are developed here. Around 10 innovative life sciences startups are established every year. And even the pandemics provided us an opportunity for a spurt of growth in life sciences, as well as new possibilities for international cooperation. So aiming for 5% of GDP from life sciences by the end of the decade, we strive to become one of the leading countries in the Central and Eastern European region. Therefore, Lithuania is a reliable partner in the field of life sciences and is looking for new opportunities for cooperation with other countries, especially such strong partners as France. And yeah, I have to stress that our countries already have a long-standing history of cooperation, but let us not forget that just recently, last August, we commemorated 30 years of re-establishment of diplomatic relations. Upon this occasion, we could think of enriching our future diplomatic relations with tones of promoting science and research cooperation. In this regard, science diplomacy should not be underestimated. We, diplomats, observe scientific trends in different countries. We have connections. We remain at your disposal, and I can assure that both Lithuanian diplomats abroad and foreign diplomats in Vilnius are more than glad and ready to help Lithuanian scientists and research institutions to establish connections with foreign partners. We are open to science. Please indicate your interests and what assistance is needed, and we will deliver. Thank you for your attention.
For your presentation, I would like to invite the last speaker from the welcoming speech, and it is Zita Dukovskaya, who is the head of Technology and Innovation Division at the Ministry of Education, Science and Sport. Please, Zita.
So, dear Ambassador, dear President, dear guests, and dear participants, and also dear organizers of this event. It's my pleasure on behalf of my Vice Minister, Mr. Gintautas Jakštas, to welcome this event and to welcome all participants in the event. And the COVID crisis has proved that cooperation in research and innovation is essential in our recovery and from the pandemic, and will pave the way to a greener, more digital, more sustainable future. As you may know, Lithuania was not the key player in Horizon 2020 program, and to have this very good cooperation with French institutes, research organizations were very useful and very important for Lithuanian participants in Horizon 2020 program. And during, as I think many of previous speakers mentioned about how many collaborative links we created during this period, and it's my honor to say that we had 272 common projects with France, where more than 100 Lithuanian organizations were as participators in these projects, and more than 360 participators from French sites were in these projects. So the most common thematic areas in Horizon 2020 projects were health, transport, food, agriculture, forestry, ICT technologies, Maria Skłodowska-Curie actions, and research infrastructures. I really hope that these thematic areas will be increased in our cooperation in Horizon 2020 program. And we are pleased with these good practices to have this French cooperation. And we hope to further foster our cooperation with the French partners. And this year, Ministry of Education, Science and Sport approved Horizon Europe acceleration plan, where more than 40 million euros are allocated for the different measures which could help to increase our competences, our quality of Lithuanian applications in the Horizon Europe program, and increase our participation in widening measures also. So we hope that all these measures help for our Lithuanian participants to collaborate more effectively with French partners. And let me just wish for this discussion, for this event, really very interesting discussion and very fruitful your collaboration. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Zita. Thank you for all distinguished speakers for their wishes and welcome words for us. And now we can proceed to our other part. But just before that, a few housekeeping rules for us to have in mind. Some of the speakers will be joining us online. So we will have a short time for those speakers, for us to ask questions for those speakers just after their presentation, if you will have any. And for those speakers who will be presenting their presentations here with us, offline, we suggest you that you would take notes and questions and keep them for final discussions for question and answer session, which is foreseen in the very end of all the sessions. Most of the speakers will have around 10 minutes for their presentation. I will say that they have left 2 minutes just for them to know how much time they left. I won't be very strict, so you're lucky because we're on the schedule and we have a little time spare. So this is very good. And we will have 3 parts. First part will be about European dimension of research and national priority. The second part will be about health, shared priority. And the third part will be from bilateral to European cooperation. Then now, without further ado, I would like to invite Pierre-Olivier Pan, Coordination Manager in the International Multilateral Cooperation from National Research Agency, who will present his presentation.
Thank you. Put the time on so that I don't overpass too much. Madame la Ambassadrice, dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for inviting me first. Is there a way to see also the notes that we annotate? There must be a way to broadcast to visitors only the slides and to show my notes, because I have a few notes that I want to read. That wasn't done. If you don't find it, it's not such a drama. I might remember. Maybe it's here. Yeah, the second one? Yeah, perhaps. No, it's not showing it. Or maybe do right click and look for something. Says screen pointer options. Never mind. I will try to remember my extra notes, which were. Yeah, I will do that. I will introduce the ANR in general, who we are, what we do. Secondly, our international activity, and thirdly, very quickly, I will give a few data on the French-Lithuanian cooperation funded by ANR and perspectives on the rest. All this with a twist to European cooperation, of course, which is the topic of the day. So first of all, who we are, what is ANR? ANR is a project funding agency. It is a public organization created in 2005, so it's a relatively recent creation. We are under the authority of the French Ministry of Higher Education and Research and Higher Education, sorry, the MESRI. In the French jargon. Sorry, there will be a lot of acronyms. I'm French, so I will try to avoid it as much as possible, but there will be some. We have 5 missions defined in the decree that set up ANR. First, to fund and promote the development of basic and applied research. Secondly, this is our basic mission. Secondly, to implement the action plan approved by the French Ministry of Research. This ministry shows you that we are mostly an executive agency under the ministry. The third one is to manage major research major investments. I will come to this. In this respect, we operate a very large program called the Investments for the Future, which is a bit like an agency in the agency. Because it funds more infrastructural programs and developments. The fourth one is to strengthen scientific cooperation across Europe and internationally. This one stands in red. This is because this is the one we will be talking about mostly today. And the fifth one has been added in 2004. It is to, in a nutshell, to assess the impact of our funding. And this is, of course, I think, an objective that most research funders have nowadays, although it is very difficult to achieve. So what you notice immediately is that we have a relatively wide remit. We fund all fields of sciences, all fields of science, and all types of research, whether basic, applied, up to experimental development in theory. We have a capacity to fund public or private funding recipients, so that might be academic recipients such as universities, research organizations such as CNRS, the famous one, or private funding recipients like foundations, non-profit, or commercial companies for profit. We have, for that, various instruments which are described in a yearly action plan, which you can find on our website. I think the new one is not yet translated in English, but it should come soon. And also you can check our global activity in our annual report, which is available online on our website. From our mission, also you see something relatively classical, is that our action cycle roughly goes from defining program to operating a selection, then operating the implementation of projects, and then evaluating our action in order to feed back into the definition of new programs. This is very simplified a presentation of ANR in its institutional development. Here you see that we stand again under the Ministry of Higher Education and Research, but also there is an input from the Prime Minister directly when this is about as far as the investments for the future are concerned, and you see that we have a capacity to give extra money to universities from what they receive as institutional funding, and the capacity to fund public-private partnership. Very quickly on this extended and hard to read because it's small picture of ANR in institutional environment. What I wanted to stress is that, of course, we interact in the lower right-hand corner with European and international counterparts, such as the European Commission or funding agencies like LMT. And then we have a diversified ecosystem of partners at the national level, which includes other actors from the French system, such as other funders like the Agency for Energy, for example. So we are the main actor for funding in France, but not the only one. There are other players, and also we interact with regions. Increasingly, for example, we have a number of partnerships with other French players. Also, the French Development Agency and the Banque Publique for Investissement, which funds higher technological readiness levels. I will slide on this slide quickly, but this shows you the intervention of ANR compared to other players in terms of technological readiness level and size of funding. As you can see, we go further into applied science than ERC, but our grants are slightly lower. We have various commitments to act in the service of science, to guarantee the quality, efficiency, and transparency of our processes, and also increasingly to contribute to the evolution of science culture, which translates into different enactments. I will not detail them, but things that we are increasingly concerned with are, of course, gender equality, for which we have an action plan. We have had an action plan for 2 years, but also increasingly open science. We are a member of Coalition S and Plan S. We have we participate into the national plan for open science in France, and this translates into most of our processes nowadays. And also, of course, we have signed, since France has signed the Nagoya Protocol, we act towards fair science. And increasingly also, we try to engage with citizens. For example, we now have commitments towards the inclusion of scientific, technological, and industrial culture in all of our funding. Key figures, just to go quickly, we have funded over 21,000 projects since the creation of the agency, and the average grant, as you can see, is in the near of 400k euros per grant. Now, the bulk, 8 minutes already, so I need to
No, it's 7 because we had some technical issues in the beginning. So
thank you. The international activity. So first of all, we participate in many policy fora, a bit like what we are doing today. We are a member of Science Europe, the Global Research Council, G7 Research, and the Coalition S in open science. More importantly, we have a diversified portfolio of internationally oriented funding schemes. So I had to structure this part in order for you to understand and to present. First of all, we have transnational calls for research proposal. This is the bulk of our activity. Secondly, we have a portfolio of schemes fostering and increasing French participation in European schemes. This is not a lot in terms of number of projects and amount of funding, but this is important politically. And popular with researchers and applicants. And thirdly, we have some schemes internationally oriented with other French organizations, but as this is not related to the European dimension, I will not develop that today. So on this slide, you can see what the transnational calls for proposals represent over our global activity. This is roughly in 2020, 13% of our activities. This has peaked in 2015 and decreased a bit since. But actually, this is because we have new national missions added every year. So this is more in relative size because we have new national instruments than because we want to lower our research activity. And there is a slight decline in 2020, but this is due to conjecture rather than structure. We have a very strong commitment to building the European research area. This is our main priority. You can see that in our participation in joint programming initiatives. Again, I will go quickly on this, but also on European funded private to public partnerships. We have participated in 88 European contracts in H2020 and PCRD number 7. And in H2020 only, we have coordinated 13 AeroNet co-funds and 1 CSA. ANR's main partner countries, as you can see, this is in number of projects funded. So this doesn't mean that we haven't opened opportunities with other countries, but this is the result of the selection. What you can see here is that there is a very heavy player, which is Germany. This is due to our long-standing relationship with DFG, both at the multilateral and bilateral level. But then countries in green are members of the European Union, and then in yellow and in pink with Switzerland, you have the members or near members of the Economic European area. So this also shows you the strength of our commitment with Europe, because as you can see, our first international partner out of Europe is Canada, with whom our collaboration is expanding fast, but this is only secondary compared to what we fund with European partners. So even over the entire existence of ANR, this is the result. 80% of the projects we have funded were with either members of the European Union or members of the European Economic Area and Switzerland. Nevertheless, we have offered a great diversity of opportunities. Here you can see only the projects we have funded with partners worldwide since 2014, and you can see that this is extremely diversified over all continents, and this is again expanding. Now, our priorities, they are set by our stakeholders. As I said, we depend on several ministries, but also on a national system called the alliances, and they might be of a thematic or regional nature. Here you can see a regional priority. The most important one, again, is the European research area, but we are also developing Mediterranean and African partnerships in a European setting, and then establishing ties with major countries outside of this field. Our intervention in Horizon Europe now, this is the future, starting now towards the partnerships. Our action will be in Pillar 2 and in the widening pillar of Horizon Europe, because there are CSAs. And we will be here, this is a summary of our probable involvement in the new partnerships. So I had the pleasure to have the confirmation this morning that we will be collaborating with LMT in several of these partnerships. In green, you have the ones where our participation is confirmed. There is a French flag when there is a French coordination. This is not necessarily ANR. So far, the only partnership collaborated by ANR is in the lower right hand corner. It's Water for Wall, which is also, yes, this is coordinated, but there is another one in the field of environment, which is coordinated by a French organization. It's Biodiversity Plus. In yellow, you have two partnerships where we will be just funders. We will not do the selection, but we will be participating in the digital field. And also in the center, we will be following the European Science Cloud. As I said, this is only a map of the involvement of ANR. We are only one of several French players, but roughly we will be participating in about 12 to 13 European partnerships of the first wave, and we are already preparing our involvement in some partnerships of the second wave coming in 2024, and this is done with preparatory CSAs, coordination and support actions such as EBRA. There might be an EBRA too, but we have also recently applied for Green Era Hub and the Design OHAMR CSA, which will allow us to prepare the One Health antimicrobial resistance partnership, in which we will be involved for sure. Our first partnership goal is open since the beginning of October. It's Biodiversity Plus. We're quite excited about it. This is a long-standing European cooperation in which France is very involved to fund research on biodiversity, and I think LMT is again involved in this one. I will go very roughly, very quickly on this. So as I said, we have also schemes directed at improving the French participation in European programs, which is not sufficient. I will only detail this one because this one is open actually to international collaboration. In these schemes, they are not properly transnational schemes because the three of them, in the three of them, we only fund a single French PI, but in this one, the French PI can invite international counterparts to, because with a networking costs, in order for the French PI to develop a proposal to a European or international funding scheme and coordinate this proposal. So they may invite a Lithuanian colleague, for example, in order to apply to ERC Synergy, to an ERC Synergy grant, or to a Marie Curie grant, or to other schemes that must be identified in the proposal. We have two other ones. This one, Springboard ERC, is to fund the unlucky applicants to ERC grant, and we are developing a new one, Access ERC, for newcomers in the field of research, young PhD or recently PhD students who will develop an application to ERC with our support, and their salary can be included. Now, finally, a very quick focus on the French-Lithuanian, again, through the lens of ENR funding, which is only one lens, but we have funded 12 projects together in 12 different calls. This is not a lot, of course, in absolute value, but in relation to the population of Lithuania, this is not so bad. This is a bit less than Estonia and Latvia, but not spectacularly less. And this is, for example, much more than Poland. So this is already a great result. Again, we have probably participated in many more calls together because we have participated in 33 European P2Ps in recent years. We have launched around 45 calls together. And since we will be participating in the clearer picture of partnerships, of European partnerships now, I hope we will be funding many more projects in the future. Finally, this is an example of a co-funded project that I selected because it's coordinated by a Lithuanian colleague from the Lithuanian University of Health Sciences. I was told this is too early to say, to comment on the results, but the selection was promising. And here you see that the French partner is in charge of electrophysiological recordings, while Lithuanian and Italian partners are in charge of computational modeling, which is one of your strong points. So I hope this will be quite successful. Thank you very much for your attention. Sorry for speaking so fast. Again, I'm French and maybe I didn't control the time so well. But if you want any extra information, you can reach me on my email.
Yes, thank you very much for your presentation. I think I have a couple of questions, but we will take them afterwards. So thank you very much again. And now we will have another speaker whom I invite to join through online. It's Jūratė Devižienė, International Program Unit, Research Council of Lithuania. Jūratė, I saw that you are with us, so the floor is yours.
Can you see my presentation?
Sorry?
Okay. Good afternoon to everyone, to everybody. I will present the activities of the Research Council of Lithuania in brief. Actually, thank you for the presentation of previous speaker, Monsieur Pan, because I noticed some similarities. Just the scope, of course, is very different because we are a small country. So here you will see, I put few slides on the general picture of R&D in Lithuania. You see our investments are far from the average of the EU. But if we look at the innovation scoreboard, we are growing up fast, I would say. Lithuania is one of the most rapidly growing countries, and improvement the last period was about 30%. Here I put our priorities of smart specialization strategy. You can see differences between two periods. In the first, in the previous period, we had 7 priorities which couldn't help to focus our research and innovation potential. So for the new period, we planned 3 priorities focused on health technologies and biotechnologies, new productions, materials, and information and communication technologies. They are not yet approved finally, but we are expecting in the first half of the next year to have them officially. Here you see the involvement of the Research Council. Actually, this year we celebrated the 30 years anniversary of the Council. It was created in 1991. It was established. It is still established by our Parliament, the Seimas, and then in 2007 it was reorganized into the Funding, Research and Development Funding Body. Our main responsibilities is to deliver their R&D policy and scientific advice to the government and Seimas, also to work on ensuring the R&D quality. We are performing evaluation of R&D activities and PhD studies in research institutes and universities. And also we carry out an assessment of Lithuanian research and higher and education institutions and the long-term R&D programs in research institutes. One of our main activities is to provide competitive R&D funding. We use different sources. I will talk about it a bit later. And also to foster transnational and international R&D cooperation through different programs and other means. We execute, we apply or develop over 30 financial means. We fund top-down research. We had 5 national programs. Also, we fund bottom-up research, namely research projects initiated by individual researchers. Also, we support researchers' career mobility dissemination activities and international cooperation. We announce about 30 calls for proposals per year, and we use different sources, different funding sources for it. A state budget, also different financial instruments, including EU ESF funds, ESF and ERDF, and also Horizon 2020 and currently Horizon Europe program allocations, budget resource. Our total budget and total annual budget is, of course, we cannot compare it to the French, our colleagues from INR, is around 18 million euros, including around 16 for R&D activities. And another half of the budget comes from EU ESF allocations. This is an important source for research. Now I will come up to our participation in Horizon 2020. Because this is our main focus of today's event. And we were working as national contact points, and we were hosting around half of NCPs in the council in previous program in Horizon 2020. And now we are hosting 9 NCPs for 9 Horizon Europe areas. You can see the list of these areas. And what was the change from the last program from Horizon 2020, that we now have NCPs who are fully occupied only with NCPs work. They do not have other obligations or activities. They can fully be engaged working as NCPs. So, and hopefully it will help to improve our participation and success rates and in Horizon Europe calls. We also participated in ERANET Plus programs. Here you see the list. We administrate and deliver funding for the successful projects in ERANETs. Here you see the list. And of these ERANETs, GPIs, and similar coordination programs at the EU level, and we expect to administrate the participation of Lithuania in European partnerships, but the process currently is a bit, how to say, complicated, because this is planned to be funded from the EU structural funds, and these two processes are not, how to say, they are not at similar stages currently. So here you see our success rate in Horizon 2020. We are actually have a higher success rate than EU average, around 14%, and EU average is around 12%. However, if we look at the funding we received through projects, it's not the result is not satisfying us, and we must find some solutions how to improve in this respect our participation. And of course, we have to participate more actively and submit much more proposal than in previous program. And we hope that NCPs will help a lot in this regard. Okay, here already the information was provided about it, about collaboration links and the projects. We have in the Horizon Europe, we had around 500 projects, and more than half of them was including French partners. So France is very important partner for us in Horizon Europe. And we would like to strengthen that collaboration with the French research institutes and academic sector, and also, of course, also companies, including on the left side, you can see top areas of cooperation. As we wanted to focus this event on health research, you see that it's really needs to be improved, because it's only at 10th place in cooperation. And the next slide reflects that areas of cooperation.
Left.
Sorry?
2 minutes left.
Okay, I will finish very soon. And here you see the Lithuanian Institute's top organizations collaborating with French partners, which directly reflects the previous slide. Here you see our other international cooperation programs. We administrate participation and cost. We also administrate participation and collaboration in the Baltic region of the Baltic Research Program funded from EEA financial mechanism. And we have bilateral agreements at governmental level with Belarus, France, as you mentioned, Gilbert was already mentioned, and Taiwan and Ukraine, and 2 interinstitutional agreements with Japan and Poland. This is about Gilbert. I'll probably skip it. And here, yeah, and it's just, I think I fit to the time schedule. So, merci de votre attention. Ačiū už dėmesį. Thank you very much. If you have questions, I'll try to answer later on.
Very much. You're right there. We have a very short time. If we have any pressing question we would like to ask you right there. So please, if anyone wants to ask, just raise the hand or show your interest. If not, we will we'll proceed. Yes?
Just maybe if you can show back the top 10 collaborations of Lithuania with France in 2020. This was one of your slides.
You want I would go back just a minute.
Maybe you can share the presentation.
Okay, share screen.
Also, and then a question I wasn't sure, is this a Lithuanian-French cooperation or LMT France cooperation? In H2020, I wasn't sure on the
Which slide would you like to see?
Or next.
This one? No? This one?
So, yeah, this is French-Lithuanian cooperation. This is not exclusively LMT. Yes. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
So those are the cooperation, which is not only which finance through Research Council of Lithuania, but also other programs as well. Yes, the question was that.
Okay, no, we do not have other programs. We could finance directly the French with the French partners, but in each of other national research program and other means, the partners from abroad can participate. The only requirement is they have to be employed at the Lithuanian institution. So in any project or proposal, the foreign partners from any country of the world can be included. But the requirement is they have to come to Lithuania and be employed, not necessarily probably to come, but they have to be employed at the Lithuanian institution. So this is the option to attract. And we have mobility means, but this is different, yeah.
Okay, thank you, Olivia. Yeah, thank you. Yes, so thank you again, Jurajta, for your presentation. We will move forward to Brigita Serafinovičiūtė, who is the head of Lithuanian Research Development and Innovation Liaison Office in Brussels, LINO. Brigita, floor is yours. You have 10 minutes.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Arminas. Bonjour, mesdames et messieurs. But let me switch to English. I think that will be more suitable. If the organizers could share my slides, that would be perfect. Yes.
Just a second.
Yeah, so let me introduce, for those who don't know me, I'm Brigita Serafinovičiūtė, the head of Lithuanian Liaison Office for Research and Innovation here in Brussels. And already Jurajta showed our logo in her presentation, but I will talk a bit more about the EU knowledge sharing networks in Brussels through the eyes of LINO office, one of the liaison office. We are not the only one in Brussels. Next slide, please. Yeah. As it was mentioned, we are still quite a young office. We've been established since 2017 with the main purpose to capture the information and to exchange that, especially on the policy trends and also on concrete opportunities to get engaged in collaborative projects. Another very important role that we do here in Brussels, trying to promote Lithuanian research and innovation, strengthen also interest in collaborative projects, with main focus on Horizon Europe, but not only, because we're talking about synergies here in Brussels. That's one of the very hot keywords, and we're looking at some of the possible synergies, not only with the structural funds, but also with other EU programs as Digital Europe or Defense Fund. And talking about synergies, I think our office is one of concrete examples how structural funds can be linked with Horizon, because we are a project ourselves funded from the structural funds. We are part of the Research Council. But we are here in Brussels to help Lithuanians to be more visible and more active. And yeah, by being in Brussels, we do networking as our everyday activity, because if you know in Brussels a little bit, that's the place where you can meet the whole Europe without traveling abroad. Next slide, please. So, next slide. Something's happening, but that's as I mentioned, our everyday activity can be summarized in one word. It's networking. And by networking, we try to serve our clients, which are universities, institutes, associations, public sectors, individual research, and also sometimes spin-offs or startups who want to be part of Horizon Europe or other EU programs. Next slide, please. And speaking about the knowledge networks in Brussels, the main network for us is IGLO, informal group of liaison offices, like national liaison offices. And that's still an informal network. It's not a legal body, but it's been active in Brussels since 1992. And that was one of the goals when we established in Brussels to be part of that network, because we heard from our good colleagues in Estonia, that's the place to be. And as you see, this network embraces a lot of countries, and France is part of that network. The Liaison Office for French institutions is named CLORA, and it's a network in itself. It has 27 members, but I just checked that INR is not part of this network, but other funding agencies, as Olivia mentioned, there are more in France, various funding agencies like CNRS or Inframed, they are part of CLORA. And also some universities and institutes are part of this French network in Brussels. So we all are very different in terms how these liaison offices are set up, what are the main goals, who are the main stakeholders, but what we share being in this network is I wish to understand what's happening in Europe in terms of research and innovation policy developments, and yeah, to catch all the hottest information which is out there from the Commission or the Parliament or the Council, and also by sharing the knowledge of what's happening in our countries. So that's a great knowledge network that we are proud to be part. Next slide, please. Yeah, so that what we do in 4 words, it's like monitoring, interacting, facilitating collaborations, and sharing knowledge. And for example, this picture was taken from the pre-COVID times when we could meet physically still. And that was a meeting with the Director General from DG Research and Innovation, with Mr. Jean-Eric Paquet in the very middle of the picture. Next slide, please. And to dive a bit more into how the network works, it has 9 smaller, mini focused knowledge sharing hubs. We call them working groups. And we have, as I mentioned, 9 of them. The newest is on health, and actually LINO office, my previous colleague Donata Mauricaite, she was co-chairing this working group for more than 2 years until she found a new job now. But Julia Boniukevich, my other colleague, is co-chairing the working group on higher education, and I myself, I'm part of the IGLO Secretariat. Next slide, please. And yeah, going back to what LINO office has done so far, so there are some numbers, but what's important here is really the networking part, that because we wouldn't be able to achieve so much without our partners in Brussels or back in Lithuania as well. Next slide, please. And a little advertisement on what's still coming up. You see October 20th, that's the event that we are taking part here today. But next week, there will be one more event where you all are very welcome to take part. It's an info session and a little brokerage on Horizon Europe and European Defense Fund. That's the synergy that I mentioned at the very beginning, that we aim to show different possibilities for our researchers and innovators, that not only to focus on one program, but to broaden the perspectives and increasing the chances to be successful. So if you know someone who would like to be more active in European defense calls or Horizon Europe security related calls, so please forward that information. Next slide, please. And yeah, as I mentioned, like together we are more visible. So that's the coverage of the world map that we managed to cover mainly via online events. So this unfortunate fact that we cannot meet as often physically as before has also plus side that we can reach much more at the same time. But yeah, as mentioned, we do these events in collaboration with other offices, with other partners, because that's really a collaborative effort. Next slide, please. And yeah, one of our everyday work and means of work is social media channels. So I would advise to, if you want to know more on what's happening in Brussels and also what's happening in Lithuania, to follow us on LinkedIn. So we post there in English, or Twitter. Facebook is for Lithuanian audience. So if there are some Lithuanians who don't follow us, so feel free to follow us. And of course, our YouTube channel, where you also can see our event, this event on YouTube. So you can find other events there who were pre-recorded. Next slide, please. So that's our little team, and physically we are based at the permanent representation of Lithuania in Brussels. So if you'll be in Brussels, you are more than welcome to visit us and have a coffee or tea with us, and to discuss what possible future events or other collaborative forums. So next slide, please. And that's the last slide. Merci de votre attention. And let's stay connected. If you have any questions, any suggestions, feel free to contact me or my colleagues. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Brigitta, for your presentation and for your invitation for a cup of coffee. We will definitely use it when we will be in Brussels. That's for sure. Does anyone want to have a quick question? Yes, please.
Yes, so thank you very much for the presentation. It was very interesting. But could you please just provide us an example of the most important, most successful outcomes of your activities during last year? So like success stories.
Yeah, it's a good question. It's a very complicated question on the other side, because that's the constant discussion that we have with other liaison officers, like what's for, like we are doing all these info events, we're doing the brokerages, but it's the soft power, as I would say, because we are not writing the projects ourselves. That what we provide a platform for different partners to meet each other and to get to know each other and to invent future collaborations. So if without the willingness of the actual partners, our work wouldn't be successful. But what I know, like that, okay, I cannot give the exact numbers, but there were some collaborative projects that spring out of all that we've done so far.
Okay, thank you. And I see that we have raised hand through Zoom. So we're a little short on time, but Alyssa, please, if you could just very briefly ask your question for Brigitta and then brief answer. Yes.
Yes, thank you. So my question is very brief. Among your clients, I see that there is a group individual researchers. What kind?
Okay, I couldn't hear the whole
kind
question.
of practice you do mean? Thank you.
Alyssa, could you repeat the question?
Yeah, it's a bad.
Among your clients, there are individual researchers, not institutions, but individual researchers. Who are the individual researchers? What do you mean?
These are personal networks, basically, because we of course we work through the central administrations, but sometimes what we notice is much more effective when you send the message directly to the researcher, like telling, hello, Tadas or whoever. That's an interesting event. Maybe that's something that you would be interested to take part. So it's a case by case, and really we use, because I've been a researcher myself. I was part of the Lithuanian Society of Young Researchers, so I have quite a substantial personal network that I'm using every day. And so we really diversify the information. We don't rely only on the official channels, but also try to use all the unofficial and like the social media channels. And whoever asks for some support or advice, they can get it from us.
So thank you very much for all the questions.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you for the questions and the answers. We need to proceed because we have an agreement with organizers. If I fail to manage the discussion on time, so I will need to pay them. So I need to be a little bit more strict than on time. But this concludes our first part, and now we will have a second part, which two presenters, whom I invite first. It's Vania Rosas, who is NCP Health France in Ministry of Higher Education, Research and Innovation. Floor is yours, and here is your slides.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, you can see my slides. Can you see my slides? Can you see my slides?
Yes, we can see your slides, but it's not full screen. If you could.
Yeah.
Yes, now it's good.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much for inviting me today, for inviting the NCP Health in Horizon Europe. I will talk about the health program and the funding opportunities during Horizon Europe for 2022. First of all, my talk is very dense, so I won't go into details, but if you need to contact us, you can send us an email or contact us through this website. I will present first the French National Contact Point on health. Our objective is to encourage the French community to coordinate and participate in the EEST calls on health. By better informing, supporting, raising awareness, advising on funding opportunities, and helping them also in the adequacy of the projects to the calls. By training on the EEST tools and different sections on the different calls, and by orienting the researchers toward different funding sources in health, but including opportunities in other clusters. We are coordinated by Virginie Sivan, who is, we are all attached to the ministry. She's the coordinator and the representative at the health program committee. Sophie Descamps, which is my colleague on NCP Health as well, Catherine Tostan de Smar, and myself. And you can contact us, the three of us or the four of us, through this webpage. So we'll start talking about Horizon Europe, which is the most ambitious research and innovation funding program ever undertaken, with a budget of 95.5 billion euros, more or less 30% more than Horizon 2020. It is a continuity with Horizon 2020 in terms of structure and participation rules, but there are some key novelties, which is focus on innovation, in particular breakthrough, in line with the European Innovation Council pilot launched in 2019. As well as the identification of missions, which is a portfolio of projects with an ambition and measurable objective, the rationalization of the partnership landscape in terms of number and funding instruments, with the willing to promote citizen engagement through open science. It is more open to international cooperation and through more associated countries and spreading excellence. This is the structure of Horizon Europe. We can find some programs of Horizon 2020. The pillar 1 focus on excellent science. Here we can find non-thematic calls, individual and collaborative calls are part of the pillar 1. On the pillar 2, that we can find 6 different clusters on collaborative research, including the health cluster, which is cluster 1. With 8.24 billion euros, and cluster 3, which is the pillar dedicated mainly to innovation. What is the novelty here is that the health subjects can be mainly found within the health program of cluster 1, but also through the other actions in other clusters. And there are also health actions in the European Innovation Council, and of course on non-thematic programs. It comes, the work program for health, the health partnerships and cancer mission comes from the strategic planification, which is a European Commission co-design with different stakeholders, including citizens, for 2021 to 2024. And this is to ease the implementation of Horizon Europe through 6 different health areas contributing to the e-policy priorities. which is, I mean, the health ambassador already talked about these priorities during her talk on green and digital transition. And key strategic orientations for research and innovation and expected impacts that I will call destinations in health, and the missions, then the work program, the health partnerships, and the missions come here. So I will talk very briefly on the work program 2022. This is a very practical slide. Who can participate, which are the types of actions, funding actions that can be funded. There are 4 types of actions that can be funded. The research and innovation actions, which are mainly collaborative projects, the innovation actions that are projects that are meant to develop a prototype or demonstrate a pilot for commercialization, the coordinated and support actions that are actions to fund measures to set up a program, standardization measures, planning. These coordinated actions are short-time measures. There are 2 types of actions dedicated to support public markets, which are called the PCPs and the PPIs, the procurement cost of groups of procurers to buy the research and validation, which are services not covered by the market, and the PPIs, which are the deployment for the solutions. You need to be 3 independent legal entities to be part of a consortium within a member state or different associated country, at least 1 established in a EU member state. Every legal entity can participate, but not everyone gets funding. The eligible countries for funding are, of course, the EU member states with their regions, overseas countries, and territories. Horizon Europe associated countries, low and middle income countries, and countries specified in the call. There are some thematic calls that need some collaboration with specific countries. And the United States for the health cluster, this is in reciprocity with the NIH funding. For the first 3 types of actions, partners get 100% of direct cost of funding rate, except for companies on the innovation actions that are funded at 70%. The budget, it's extended, the work program is extended for 2 years. The 2021 calls have already passed. In September, the deadline was in September. Now the budget for 2022 is 900 million euros. There are 22 topics that will be covered in 2022. The budget per project will be for the research and innovation actions between 6 and 10 million. And there are two deadlines, so just please keep this in mind. The deadlines for the 2 stages, the 2-stage calls are the first one on the 1st of February 2022 and the 6th of September 2022 for the screen projects, and then a single stage. Some calls are a single stage for April 2022. So just keep these dates in mind. I won't get very much into detail into this slide, which is very, very dense. But I'm trying to say, and that I'll share my presentation, is that there are 6 destinations in the health program, and there will be calls on different topics funded for each destination. And I will leave this slide. I won't get into detail on this slide. There are, as I talked to you before, partnerships and missions, and the talk on DNR that Pierre-Olivier Pin did talk to you, mention already the health partnerships. So partnerships are initiatives where the EC and the member states engage with public and private stakeholders to support activities on research and innovation. And their added value is their capacity to bring together a wide range of players around a common vision, which is to provide solutions to the major European priorities and global challenges. You probably know already the 2 institutionalized partnerships, the Innovative Medicines Initiative, that is going to be the Innovative Health Initiative for your Horizon Europe, and the EDCTP, which is going to be the EU-Africa Global Health for Horizon Europe. And there will be other 7 partnerships that are some at different stations. We have also heard about this before, on chemical risks, on clinical trials, therefore partnerships at different stages of clinical trials, transforming health and care systems, pandemic preparedness, personalized medicine, rare diseases, AMR, and they will be launched at different stages from 2022 to 2024, 25, and we will, the state members are co-programming, co-funding these partnerships.
Anya, 2 minutes.
Thank you. I'll try to finish fast. So we'll talk to you very fast on the missions, which are a new way to bring concrete solutions to the European great challenges. They are modeled after the Apollo program. That states that it's better to provoke a systemic change and transform landscapes rather than solving existing problems. The mission that is important for the health program is the cancer mission. It was co-designed with citizens and local stakeholders. And there's a portfolio of projects for different funding instruments that will be funded through the cancer mission. So just to let you know that the work program for the cancer mission will be we will publish at the end of 2021, and the draft is on discussion. And these are the titles of the different calls that will be funded for 2021. So just two slides on take-home messages of before I finish my call. The one is you have heard from the NR talk about this funding MRCE for French national for French coordinators. So I highly recommend to apply for this funding. The dossier is not very heavy and the success rate is high, and that can help you very well to construct and to mature a consortium and a project and a scientific project to for Horizon Europe. The deadline is 22 of October 2021 for the next call. The link is here in the slide. The other one is you can go and look at our website. It's updated. We put all the relevant information on the calls and the European Commission. There are two events that are coming in October. One's an info day for the 2022 calls done by the European Commission, and the other one is a brokerage event to find people for networking. There's a YouTube channel where you can find all the training from the EC. And please, whenever you want to apply for a funding, contact your grants office Europe and the national contact points, either French, Lithuanian, etc. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for the presentation. We have a very short time for a question. If there would be any question for the presenter. I do not see now the hands raised, so that's very good. Yeah, sorry if you could mute yourself if you're not speaking. So Vanya, once again, thank you very much for the presentation and for all the useful information. I will then just proceed to another speaker, and I would invite Raimonda Janonienė, who is the head of Strategic Planning and Management Unit at the Ministry of Health. Raimonda, floor is yours.
Hello, everyone. I would like to try to share screen and to put a presentation. Can you see it?
Yes, we can see, but not a full screen. Yes. Now it's full screen. Wonderful. Go ahead.
Thank you once again. It's my pleasure to be present today in this event and represent the Ministry of Health. My presentation is a little bit different from those we had right now before my presentation, and I'll try to present the view of user of scientific result. And as you know, it's very important that priorities for research fit well with health policy priorities. So I would like to start my presentation with an essential information on the situation in Lithuania, in our health sector, and which is best illustrated by a few indicators reflecting the health of our population and indicators reflecting the performance of the health system. It should be said that considerable progress has been observed in the last year, and the health indicators of the population are improving. But still, compared to other EU countries and other EU average data, according to many of them, Lithuania still lags significantly behind. I would like to draw special attention to the indicator of avoidable mortality, which is one of the worst in Lithuania compared to EU. And this indicator illustrates that there is considerable room for improvements, preventing premature death of our population if actions are taken to improve disease prevention, as well as to improve the efficiency, quality, and accessibility of health services. Of course, the negative effects of COVID, which has further worsened the health of the population, should also be mentioned. And it is estimated that due to the impact of COVID, the average life expectancy of the country's population in 2020 is shortened by 1.4 years. And this is almost the biggest negative impact compared to other EU countries. I would not stop a lot on this slide, but it just to illustrate that we also face with the issues regarding poor mental health. We have high number of suicides, high alcohol consumption and common addictions, low level of happiness and psychological well-being, low public mental health literacy, and common stigma on mental health disorder. And as on physical as well as on mental health, impact of COVID is obvious, and I know that all other countries face with a similar situation as well. I also should say that there are a number of problems associated with the inefficiency of health system. The European Commission has repeatedly pointed out in country-specific recommendations that Lithuania should pay more attention to strengthen primary health care. The long-standing problem of the hospital network is also relevant, and Lithuania stands out from the EU countries with a large volume of inpatient services. However, the large shortage of healthcare professionals and their unequal distribution in the country limit the availability of health care for the population. The country has a declining number of population. It also faces with a rapidly aging population, and those demographic changes dictate the need to find solutions that, on the one hand, meet the needs of the population and ensure the availability of services, but on the other hand, ensure the efficiency of medical institutions and the rational use of resources. So we also should mention that there are lessons we learned from COVID pandemic, and the lessons from COVID pandemic present government and society with a major opportunity to transform the nation's health. And it's obvious that we cannot keep doing more of the same and hope to achieve different outcomes. Experience of the COVID pandemic show that we need to be vigilant to external threats at all time with the right skills and capabilities in place. So to address all those issues I've just presented you, the government identified 5 priority areas where reforms will be implemented in Lithuania. So those 5 areas are improvement the quality of performance of public and personal health care institutions, ensuring the resistance of the health system to threats, development a model for provision of long-term care services, digitalization of the health system, and increase of mental health literacy and diversity of services. So the reform, improvement, the quality of performance of public and personal health consists of several components. One of them is to strengthen the capacities to reduce the effect of behavioral risk to health status. And there are plans under this reform to implement a comprehensive integrated healthcare services model with particular emphasis on behavioral risk management based on effective and acceptable interventions. Lithuania is famous, and it has a very good network of public health institutions at municipality level, but it should be noted that those institutions lack cooperation with primary health care specialists, especially with family physician, and this lack of cooperation has negative impact on effectiveness of public health care interventions. There are also planned to work improving the performance of primary health care. To implementing this reform, there are plans to ensure regulatory conditions for further expanding of clinical competences for nurses and task shifting inside the GP team. Our GPs has a very big workload, and it also constrains opportunities for our population to get timely access to necessary services. So we should do more to help family physicians to provide those services to the population. And we look for new models, how to develop new kind of services which be more integrated with public health interventions. The third component of that reform is strengthening the sustainable development of the regional model of the acute healthcare services. And this component is actually aimed at restructuring of network of healthcare institutions in Lithuania, with a particular emphasis on performance of hospitals. So we could expand ambulatory care services, outpatient services, and to reduce inpatient services, looking new solutions how to provide those services in a more efficient manner. So I also would like to share that with some ideas or areas I see would be suitable for cooperation between science and decision-making bodies. First of all, I see that we need new evidence-based behavior change interventions. Excuse me? Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, and development of mechanisms for management and control of incidence of chronic non-communicable diseases, which could help to select and implement targeted interventions, development of advanced therapy medical products, development of innovative diagnostic and treated methods with the focus on cancer and cardiovascular diseases. So those diseases which are the leading causes of mortality in Lithuanian population, and to strengthen and expand the quality of personal healthcare services and to improve the accessibility. As we talked so much about the quality of healthcare services, but we still do not have enough criteria. I will not stop here as I have very limited time. Just another reform which is focused on ensure the resistance on the health system to threats. And also there are a number of areas where input of science is very much needed. Such areas like IT solutions are needed to improve epidemiological surveillance. Also solutions are needed to adapt infrastructure of medical institutions to emergency situations. And I mean not only infrastructure as building, but also infrastructure is suitable to provide necessary healthcare services. We need new model of cooperation and also development of digital solutions for health system workforce planning, modeling, and forecasting. Another reform is development of long-term care services, also new models of provision of services which could integrate nursing and social care services. Also financing model to finance long-term care services is very much needed, and meeting the need for long-term care professionals. We lack so much professionals, and therefore development alternative services delivery models with applying artificial intelligence tools very much needed. Mental health literacy, I will not stop here a lot, and so another area which is very, very important and on the core of healthcare reform is digitalization of health system. And you see so many components are important under which Lithuania is working hard, and electronic health records development, work with big data, telemedicine development, exchange of health data with EU countries, artificial intelligence, digital health literacy, and so many areas of cooperation listed under here as well. So and expected benefits, of course, are better health of our population. And we very much do hope and we understand that those changes will only happen if we work together. I mean, if decision makers and scientists could cooperate more closer. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Raimonda, for your presentation and for all the challenges and policy priorities presented. We need to move forward with other presentations as we're lacking a little bit behind our schedule. So I would like to invite, it will be our last part, which we will have several good examples and practices, which is very nice to finish with. So we have a joint presentation by Karine Mourhan from Université de Haute-Alsace. And also, yes, please join us, Professor Dr. Sigita Stamulevicius from Kaunas University of Technology, and you both together have 10 minutes to share. So please go ahead.
So, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Karine Mougin from Institut de Sciences des Matériaux de Mulhouse, and my colleague Sigitas will try to give you a feedback of our French-Lithuanian cooperation. Next. So, we will go through good practices, objectives, strengths, difficulties, and obstacles. So, let's start. So, oops. Yeah. Yeah. So we started our cooperation, cooperation this year through PhD Gilbert. Focuses, we are chemists and physicists, focuses on surface color on demand for material science. So both teams are made are composed of permanent person and PhD student and master student. The idea is to train the students on both chemistry and physics. Next. And this first cooperation gave us an opportunity to, to launch a second larger project, European project, EMERANET project, focusing on sensor to detect leaks in ion battery. We are now on the second step of the submission, and the partnership is bigger as we integrate French collaborator from Centre National d'Études Spatiales, my colleague from Kaunas University of Technology, but also another partner from Luxembourg, and also international partner from South Korea. And in the consortium, we have academic partner, but also, which is quite important, industrial partner like Saft Battery in France and Energy in Korea. Next.
Yeah, so just a few words. This is a presentation by Karine, but I would like as well to share some experience in networking, and this is example of our conference that we are organizing already 23 years that attracts like 200 PhD students and young researchers. So we spend all of the week together learning, and the main outcomes, that's the knowledge, and certainly this is personal links that are very important when you elaborate some projects. So many projects have been elaborated, and this mentioned Gilbert project is one of the examples. So we hope to continue this and in the Horizon Europe, like we had previously in FP6 and Horizon 2020. So the next example of networking that's worth of attention, it's the European doctoral network that we have, and it combines 15 universities from different countries. I mean that in this case, we have a mobility of the students, exchange of the students, and after all of the common research performed, the student, they get a European doctorate diploma. So this is very important again, and mostly this is partners of our international collaboration. So please continue.
Yeah. As mentioned, my colleague, if we summarize the good practices, because he did not mention, but we met for the first time thanks to this European conference school in Lithuania. So I personally think that this is a good way to succeed to create a network. And so if you have a good idea, then you have to find the corresponding European call, which is not so easy. And then when you are found, you have also to define the roles of each partner so that you will avoid some conflict of interest and ensure, so you have to ensure a good distribution of the task in response to the objective and expected result to each of your partner. There is, from my point of view, there is also the importance of the coordinator, who is the guardian of the good practices. He's responsible to ensure the success of the project from the beginning to the end. And also he has to monitor effectively the back planning, the regular consortium meeting, the contact with the European project officer, and the commission too. And in such a project, you have to anticipate as fine as possible the potential problems and the organization timing. The foresight is a good thing. Sorry. And also, I'm giving an example because I'm more involved in material science, but I think you have to really find a good relation between your topic and European economy and environment for material science. Such subjects like sustainable material, high-tech product, recycling, and so on are right now good projects. And for instance, in the Emeranet project, there was a specific focus on batteries. And for the strengths, such projects give you the opportunity to have an international impact, and this is very important. It also allows a good networking, and I think also you have to find a good balance between academic partner and industrial partner. For instance, I just give you again an example. In the Emeranet consortium, the third call will allow 50 public funding organizations from 36 countries to be eligible, which is really important. And you have European partner, but in such project you also have, and you should not forget, non-European organization, which give even more difficulties in such project because you have so many differences in internal organization between the different partners. Just an example, what we call UMRs in France. It's not understandable for foreign partner. And at the opposite, you will get such problem. So the language in the organization is so much different that can be becoming critical. And there are also a lot of difference into financial rule and organization. So the difficulties also come from the rules of each European countries participating in such program. So Another thing is to keep the Gantt chart scheduled on time, and also to take care of the difference between countries, for instance, between Europe and Asia or Canada. As a conclusion, I would say, if you succeed to get a good consortium, if your project is online with the European needs, if you succeed to network and get a good balance between academic and industrial partner, so you should decrease all the main difficulties and obstacles, such as European country rules. And I would like to thank all the partners of this meeting, Institut Français de Lituanie, Campus France and French Embassy, and my colleague also, and the Research Council of Lithuania and all the other ones. Thank you very much for your attention.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. As you are participating here, so we will have questions afterwards. So, but I'm definitely keeping the guardian of good practice. This is very, very nice way to say it. Now we will have 4 very fast presentations. We can imagine that it will be some sort of speed dating. So each person will have 5 minutes. We will have 2 people doing that online and 2 people doing that here with us. So the second person will be Anzelma Usaliana from Vilnius University. I would ask that you would come and just after the first person, you would be immediately speak but just sit here. So it would be faster, you know. And but for a first speaker, I would invite Neringa Sheperiana, who comes from a private business company, Albametrics. So Neringa, you have 5 minutes for your presentation. I would be very glad if you would manage to keep it on time. Neringa, go ahead. Floor is yours.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi. How can I share my screen? Oh, good.
You should yes, yeah, we can see, yes.
Yeah, you should see it well.
Yes, we can do that.
So if you can see it well, so I'll proceed.
Yes.
So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Neringa. I'm a co-founder and CEO of a company called Albametrics. We are a medical device engineering company based in Lithuania, and we were established a bit more than 7 years ago. Brachydos is one of our projects. It's a startup, and the development of the startup is impossible without the international partners. So on the Brachydos project and a startup, we do the medical device to help oncology doctors to prevent treatment errors in the radiotherapy procedures. So while the radiotherapy, in the radiotherapy, the radiation is used to kill cancerous cells, it also damages the healthy organs. So it's a very painful wounds for cancer patients. It also takes additional time from medical doctor to retrieve the patient to give additional treatments and therapies. And it also significantly increases the overall treatment costs for radiotherapy departments and cancer centers. So to solve this problem, we made a Brachydos solution. It's a hardware and a software. And the main idea is to measure the radiation applied to a patient during the procedure and give this data to doctor to significantly improve the treatment plan and prevent these treatment errors for further upcoming treatments. So our idea was first to let the patient to leave the hospital faster by avoiding additional retreatments, save doctors' time, and of course, to reduce the overall treatment costs. So there we are planning to sell those measurement tools, data management system, and give the service and maintenance for our products. So we started this project with the Horizon 2020 project, and we also were funded by EAT Health InnoStars and by MITA, and now we applied for EAT Health Startup Amplifier with the international partners. So now we have a prototype which is undergoing preclinical testings at the National Cancer Institute, which is one of our project partners. And while radiotherapy is done in 151 countries, one of these countries is also France, and France is the one who leads the in vivo dosimetry, the measurement method which is used in a live person during the live procedure. So that's why we chosen France as one of our partners in this project, and not only for development and research, but also for further business and company development. So we are planning in the future, we are planning to reach high value customers in France, and and then starting with the Baltic countries, scale to French market, to Germany, and then later to UK and United States. While this project was quite successful, we started it from 2017, and it was announced as one of the best healthcare solutions for future development. Our startup team developed it as an engineering part. So we are basically medical device engineers, data specialists, and we also hold two ladies French speaking, but unfortunately it's not me. And this is our project team, and we partner with the Medicine Paris region there in Extenso Innovation, Sorbonne University Hospital as a clinical partner, Lithuanian clinical partner, North Estonian Medical Center as a clinical partner, and partner from UK for technical developments and CE markings. So we also have a French mentor from a EAT Health Mentoring Service, and do the further clinical work with the professor from Sorbonne University. While Alba Metrics is a company which is doing not only the medical devices, we also take our part in the defense sector, and we partner with company Temesis, working on engineering and optical applications for defense field. So basically in a partnership with France, we were doing quite successfully. We found a way to communicate, we found a way to do the successful project. And for now, we applied for a project which reaches up to 12 million euros with the French partners. So if you have a question, so I will be happy to answer.
For your inspiring story. This is very interesting, and it seems very fruitful already. If you could stay with us for a question session afterwards, that would be very good. And now then we would pass the floor for our another speaker, Anzelma Uzaliana from Vilnius University. She will do her presentation here. Just in a second, we will open the slides and proceed. So 5 minutes as well.
Okay, thank you very much. So hello, bonjour à tous. Thank you very much for inviting us today. I'm Anzelma Uzaliana from Vilnius University Research and Innovation Department, Research Projects Office. Some information about our university for, I guess, foreign guests. Vilnius University is, should I press this? Yes? Oh, okay. Vilnius University is the first and the largest university in Lithuania, one of the oldest and most prominent higher education institutions in Central and Eastern Europe, established in 1579. So we are based in 3 cities of Lithuania. So it's Vilnius, Kaunas, and Šiauliai. Since this year, we have a new unit in Šiauliai, 4th largest city of Lithuania. Now, talking about numbers and figures, what probably is most important for us as an institution for Lithuania is that for the first time this year, in the latest QS World University Rankings, Vilnius University took a record high position and for the first time was ranked 400th in this ranking. Talking about research areas in Vilnius University, we are developing research in 12 areas. You can see them here. I will be brief, so I won't read them all. Talking about high-tech achievements of Vilnius University, we can, of course, be proud of Professor Virginijus Šikšnys, who is the winner of Warren Albert Prize and Novozems Prize, and together with last year's Nobel Prizes winners in chemistry, he won also Kavli Prize. And he is the pioneer in CRISPR-Cas9 technology. So it's the technology of gene molecular scissors. Maybe you have heard about it already. And this technology, which has been created and developed by teams of at least 4 or 5 scientists, allows the DNA of organisms to be edited with great precision. And actually, it is hoped that in the future, this technology will help to cure the most complex diseases, including HIV-induced AIDS, also Down syndrome and hereditary heart defects. Now, also, we can be proud of development of Lithuania space program. So, together with spin-off Nano Avionics, we have 2 Lithuanian satellites successfully launched. Also, Professor Linas Mažutis is leading scientist in microfluidics technology application for cancer diagnostics. Vilnius Lithuania iGEM team is a Sweden team, which took part in 2015 in great international competition of iGEM. They won numerous awards in this competition, so we are very proud. In general, talking about patent portfolio, we have more than 40 patents in life sciences. I will skip, I think, memberships. Of course, it's very important to be the members in international networks, clusters, and so on. So it's really leading for more international projects and collaborative projects. Also, I would mention Gilibert program, which is very first step for further successful and prominent collaborations in research and innovation programs. Now, talking about cooperation, scientific cooperation with France, we have 18 projects. 4 of them are closed already and 14 are ongoing. So we are very happy to be to have this active partner and to collaborate. Top 1 French partner is Centre National de la Recherche Scientifique. Sorry for pronunciation. So we have 12 projects with this partner. Now some good practices, some examples. Yeah, some examples of projects we have. We picked 4. I will be brief, very brief. So it's Laser Lab Europe. It's submitted under Research Infrastructures in Horizon 2020. And it's led by Centre National de la Recherche Scientifique, French partner. And we are actually developing the applications of lasers and in lasers in cancer treatment field, and also other life sciences fields, because, well, the applications are very broad of lasers. Then another project is CanBioSe. It's a very interesting project under Marie Skłodowska-Curie RISE funding scheme. So it's basically, for mobility training and career development of staff, you know, and we are exchanging staff with the project partners. They are working also in cancer detection, so it's really very interesting, and it's almost over. So this year it will be over. Another one which also is very successful is EvoDrops. So it's under Marie Skłodowska-Curie again, but another scheme, European Training Networks. And the goal is to optimize processes at all levels of the chain of operation to reach ultra-high throughput, improved sensibility and reliability of systems for the selection of variants of fundamental, medicinal, practical, and industrial interests. So they are really working hard together with industrial partners on treatment, also treatment of different diseases. And the last one is iNext Discovery. It's led by Netherlands partner, but we have also participants from France. So it's really famous for, and it's submitted under Horizon 2020 research infrastructures. So biologists, chemists, biochemists, you know, medical chemists, they can just apply for this research infrastructures and get the services. So thank you very much for the attention. I was very brief, sorry for that, but we are very happy to have the very active partners in France, and thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Anselma. So please stay with us. We will have a question and answers and coffee and networking as well afterwards. So we will be able to discuss that in more details. And now we would like to invite Dr. Tomas Lapinskas from Hospital of the Lithuanian University of Health Sciences, Kaunas Clinics. Thomas, please go ahead. The floor is yours. We see your slides.
Bonjour, good afternoon, everyone, and I hope you hear me well and you can see my slides.
Yes, we do.
Oh, that's amazing. So it's a great pleasure to be a part of such an event and to speak about the Lithuanian and French scientific cooperation in the light of the Horizon Europe project. And before just going more into the details about the Horizon Europe, I must declare that our friendship with the French people is much longer than the Horizon Europe, as we know that the hospital was planned and was built in 1940s. So the winners of the design, the architects from the Paris, help us just to design our hospital, which we have for today. So very few words about the hospital. We are the largest healthcare institution in the Baltic region, which has more than 39 clinical departments, 4 affiliated hospitals, and more than 7,000 employees, with all clinical departments involved in our daily routine. So now much more about our cooperation. So we do have at the moment 3 Horizon Europe projects, which are ongoing in the collaboration with France. So the first one is called Cofunded. We do know that more than 2.7 million hospitalizations of the COVID-19 infected patients have occurred in Europe alone since the outbreak of the coronavirus in 2020. And an average of 14% of those patients with mild or moderate illness develop severe symptoms and are eventually admitted to the intensive care unit. And the most common treatment of patients in the first 2 stages of the illnesses, as for example, with remdesivir or antibody therapies, have neither shown the desired effects nor prevented the progression of the disease to severe and critical stages of the illnesses. So therefore, this consortium and this project will deliver a new effective therapy against the SARS-CoV-2 virus for the clinical management of the COVID-19 disease during mild and moderate stages, and including the prevention of disease progression to severe illness. And we expect that to achieve by advancing a promising therapeutic candidate. The molecule is called FX06 from technology readiness level 7 to 9 through a multi-center phase 2 to 3 clinical trial. And the Cofunded study will influence the COVID-19 on endothelial cells and the potential protective effect of the molecule, and will apply all mixed technologies to generate new algorithms and also open source software to carry out data analysis and modeling. Another project is called Primavera, also previously known as a vampire, but because of not very friendly title, it was changed. So it is dedicated more to antibiotic resistance, which is a major threat to human health. And we know that with an almost empty antibiotic pipeline for WHO critical threat pathogens, and therefore the monoclonal antibodies and vaccines are increasingly recognized as important tools for combating of antibiotic resistance. So what is the aim of the consortium? Is to develop a web-based platform that combines advanced mathematical models with a comprehensive epidemiological repository. And also the consortium comprises a prominent collection of European research groups with expertise in antibiotic resistance, also vaccines and monoclonal antibodies, as well as mathematical and economical modeling. And the proposal builds on established research collaboration and existing research infrastructures from European Union and other research projects. And just the deliverable, that the major one will be the open access web-based user interface that allows the wider scientific community to freely access and apply the models. And the platform also will be useful for the healthcare authorities to make data-driven decisions on prioritizing vaccines and monoclonal antibodies.
Thomas, 1 minute.
So the last slide. So the very, very recent proposal, which was submitted last month, so it's dedicated for cystic fibrosis, which is with management into revolution by creating self-management, artificial intelligence-based platform, which will empower the pediatric cystic fibrosis patients in daily management of their condition with the final objective of improving disease prognosis, quality of life, etc. And of course, beside of the Horizon 2020 and the upcoming period, we do have other scientific collaboration with the French institutions and ongoing projects as Gap Year or Credit Plus. So thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Thomas. Please stay with us for a question and answer session. Maybe there will be some questions, but now we need to proceed for a final speaker of very short presentation. It's Dr. Eva Bernatiena from Center for Innovative Medicine. So please, you have 5 minutes for your presentation.
Okay. Thank you. Bonjour, mesdames et messieurs. Labą dieną. So I would like to present our good experience of collaboration in our previous and current projects that held together with our French partners. Okay. Okay, so I will speak about several projects that were held at our Department of Regenerative Medicine. So first of all, the previous project ADIPOA, which is dedicated to the development of adipose tissue-derived stem cell therapy for osteoarthritis. Actually, the coordinator of this project was Professor Christian Jorgensen from Centre Hospitalier Universitaire de Montpellier, from INSERM, and also other partners from INSERM were main leaders of this project, and I had a good chance to previously have a long visit to this INSERM department. So that's why that's how our collaboration started. But also there were some other partners from Blood Center of Toulouse and also from University of Toulouse and many other partners from different from other countries. Yeah, so I just, sorry, it's too fast. Yeah, so actually a few words about the project itself. The idea of it, that osteoarthritis is a long-term developing disease associated with degeneration leading to disability, and the aim of the study was to stop this progression of the disease at the early stage using adipose-derived tissue stem cell therapy. So our particular role of our team in this project was to analyze the crosstalk, the potential crosstalk of the stem cells with the cartilage samples that were obtained at two leading hospitals in Vilnius. So we during joint replacement surgery, so we used co-cultures of these two tissues. The cells were delivered from Toulouse, and we found that these cells were safe for therapeutic application, and they were chondroprotective even under inflammation, and they induced cartilage regeneration capacities. Also, this project comprised clinical trial phase 1, so we were very happy to participate in preparation for this clinical trial, and all this permission for European Medical Agency was prepared in collaboration between the proposal teams. So we were very happy to take part in it, including the preclinical study setting. Afterwards, this project has developed to second phase clinical trial, and we were supposed to join it and very much eager to do that. But unfortunately, here I would like to say the main obstacle for us was that we couldn't, that there were not good logistics from Vilnius and Toulouse Blood Center, and as far as the autologous adipose-derived stem cells were supposed to be used, which means that of the same patient, the stem cells had to be culture expanded and then returned back to this patient. And for this expansion, the cells had to be sent to Toulouse immediately after surgery and returned back within 2 weeks. So this seemed to our partners too complicated to collaborate due to these logistic issues that there were no direct connections from Vilnius and Toulouse. But probably little projects needed such immediate exchange of living cell samples. So I hope it's not for other projects. We also, so this trial is still going on, and final patients are still in analysis, although it seems rather perspective and promising. So to say that our collaboration still continues, we have submitted Euro Nanoma 3 proposal, EVOSPINE, which is dedicated to stem cell-based technologies for treatment intervertebral disc degeneration. Coordinator again, Professor Christian Jorgensen, and there are and our colleague Daniela Noel, and also there are several other French institutions and from other countries. And I want also to mention our current project, which has started this year, electromechano-active polymer-based scaffolding for heart on a chip. It is a 4-year project and coordinator Professor Christian Bergot from CNRS in Toulouse, in France. So actually, this project is also dedicated to achieve clinically relevant cardiac models for early stage cardiovascular drug screening. And so essentially it is to replicate the cardiac electrophysiology and maturation in vitro, in laboratory. So therefore, a biomimetic microenvironment will be developed, including electrical, mechanical, and biochemical stimuli. And our specific role in this project is to evaluate maturation of human-induced pluripotent stem cell-derived cardiomyocytes on the scaffolds generated by our collaborators in France and under other partners, also in health and disease states, and also to evaluate the responses to drugs. So that is final. So I would like to acknowledge our collaboration teams from INSERV, from Centre Hospitalier Universitaire de Montpellier, also from Blood Center and the University of Toulouse, and currently from the MAPS project from CNRS team led by Professor Bergot. On the right, you can see our team, and we think that this collaboration with French colleagues is very fruitful and has good perspectives. So that is our Center for Innovative Medicine, which is located in Centre Valley. And thank you, merci.
Thank you. Thank you for your presentation. We welcome you to join the question and answer session afterwards, coffee and networking. And now we go to the another speaker, who is Aurelia Povilaikia, widening NCP in Lithuania. So Aurelia, I've been informed that you would stick to 5 minutes.
Oh, I'm going to be faster than that.
Wonderful. That would be very wonderful. Let's do that.
Brilliant. Thank you all very much and good afternoon. My name is Aurelia Povilaikia and I'm National Contact Point for Lithuanian Research Council. We heard today a lot about widening, and we heard a couple of our colleagues from France as well as Lithuania mentioning widening instrument. So what is widening participation? Widening is a program for that is under, well, it is part of the Horizon Europe, one of the horizontal areas that is all about connecting research and innovation with widening countries. What are those widening countries? Widening countries are countries like Lithuania, who joined the European Union after 2004. So the aim of the widening program in Horizon Europe is to connect, network, and develop the excellence of widening countries with the help of more advanced partners. Widening program has a lot of financial instruments that we can use for networking, cooperation, development. But today I would like quickly to tell you about twinning. So what is twinning? Twinning is a coordination and support action, which aims to enhance networking activities between the research institutions. So for example, between the Lithuania-French institution and one another institution. There are very clear 3 policy objectives that we need to stick to. Develop excellence in chosen R&I domain. It can be anything, it can be health, can be social sciences disciplines. Increase visibility of institutions, both of the advanced partner and widening partner, and upskill its staff. Twinning actions intend to raise the research profile, not only of the widening country, but as well of the more advanced partner. So I hope it's very clear and brief what is the widening instrument. But why you should be interested in twinning? Twinning, as I said, does not have any prescribed topics, so you can choose any topic of your scientific discipline. What is quite unique for this CSA is that up to 30% of the budget can be dedicated to any of R&I activities, which is quite unusual, which means together with your partners in the consortium, you can have a quite significant budget for pilot studies in any sort of domain. There's a wide range of costs. You can recruit even research staff and buy consumables as you wish for a project. As well, there are meetings, virtual conferences, exchange visits. So anything that you need to obtain those policy objectives and projects are quite short. The aim of the twinning is that you build the confidence, you build the competencies together with the advanced partners like Lithuania, France, and one another partner, and then apply for the Pillar 2 projects, which then will lead to the successful coordination and future collaboration. So how it's going to happen, how to apply for the twinning. There's a call closing on January 18th, I believe so. What you need is, we need a coordinator from Lithuania, and I believe we have quite a few really good collaborations happening at the moment. We need 2 advanced partners, one from France, another one from another member state. And we need to write about the scientific quality capacity and how the knowledge exchange is going to work both ways. And just to mention it very quickly, the form is quite short, it's only 30 pages. So very briefly, to sum up, I think so twinning is an opportunity for French and Lithuanian colleagues and the research and innovation community to build really long-term collaborations, lead small pilot research projects, and then successfully contribute, develop, and further advance European research area. This is just twinning. We have a lot of other, I think so, projects that you could participate in and lead. So do contact myself or other my colleagues NCPs for further information. And it was a pleasure to take part. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Aurelia. Next time we should get you in the beginning of agenda to
read it out.
to set the example of how we can make a presentation fast. And now we have our final presentation, who will be delivered by Professor Dr. Asta Punziena from Kaunas University of Technology. Asta, are you with us?
Yes, I'm with you. I hope you can hear me, and may I share my slides myself?
Yes.
Okay, I'll try to
Let's try.
Okay, can you see them?
Just a moment. Yes, now we can see them, and we can hear you clear and loud. So please go ahead.
So you see now presentation mode, isn't it?
Yes, everything
Perfect.
is good.
So it looks like I am the last speaker, so there are some advantages and disadvantages in that, but I will try to be brief in my presentation. I understand this is an example of, on one hand, twinning, on the other hand, of international cooperation, including with France. And we are lucky to have this Horizon 2020 funded twinning project on digital healthcare ecosystems research and innovation capabilities building, coordinated by Kaunas University of Technology. It's the second twinning project on our account. And the research question, so to say, what we are solving, actually it's related with digital transformation of healthcare sector. And it's great to hear that the Ministry of Healthcare is already mentioning digital healthcare services as very important future reality, but also future development trends. So digital transformation is really prevailing in different sectors. However, it's a bit slow in healthcare. So we focused on digital healthcare platforms as one of the vehicles to promote and develop digital healthcare services. Our partnership consists of 5 universities, as I mentioned, coordinated by Kaunas University of Technology. However, our main partners are Montpellier University, France, Lund, Sweden, Tampere University, Finland, and Autonomous University of Barcelona, Spain. And we already have some collaborative experience in our previous projects. And actually, we made our partnership with Montpellier University in United States. So sometimes you have to go really beyond Europe to find your European partners. We have a esteemed advisory board, including Siemens Healthineers, that helps us to really have not only theoretical but also empirical insights into digital healthcare platforms. And the objectives of the project are related with research, however, with capacity building of top-notch research and development that actually should result in ERC grants, top-level publication, Horizon Europe publication proposals in general, and of course competence development and other research outcomes. Just to give a bit understanding what we're doing in this project, we understand digital technologies as enabler that really enabled to have accountability in healthcare, so value-based healthcare services where you can actually organize services not only based on the process but also on the outcome, clinical outcome, but also patient experience outcome. You can enable proximity, so instead of really having what was also mentioned in previous publications, exceeding in patient services, we can move certain services closer to the patient, to homes, and this is digital technology that may enable us. Functionality for predicting, preventing, personalizing, and promoting participative healthcare. However, what we observe that even it is possible, these advancements are very slow. So after really carrying on in-depth analysis of 5 European digital healthcare platforms in these 5 countries, so in France, in Lithuania, in Sweden, Finland, and Spain, we came with the results that are 4 enacting variables that are very important, starting with new multi-sided value, including healthcare providers. It's very important. So all the participating ecosystem parts, they should understand what is exact value apart from rising workload from digital technologies. I'm joking a bit, but usually digital health technologies, they were perceived as extra workload much more than extra added value. The other thing is new governance models for digital, for healthcare data. So data is a major success variable in this digital healthcare services ecosystem. Also co-creation and collective ownership models in healthcare, and finally, of course, business model. So we have focused our future research in mixed teams between partners around these 4 areas, and currently we're working on new proposals for Horizon Europe around these 4 areas, including healthcare data, governance models within international healthcare space entities in Europe. And of course, what I have to mention, this is very interdisciplinary team. So universities, they provide competence not only in management, but also in sociology, data science, and biomedical engineering. Most of the universities are universities of technology, so they have mixed competences really needed to address the digital healthcare issue. So what next? Of course, top-notch publications, conference presentations, new grant applications, but also we focus very much on impact, really collaborating very closely with hospitals and Lithuanian Health Science University, and University Hospital is one of these competent partners that we have. So this is very much in short, and if there are some questions, please let me know. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Asta, for your brief and short presentation. I'm thrilled to say that actually we're out of time. So I would like to say that all those people who still have any interest of any presentations or have any questions or want to contact directly those institutions who presented their practices, I very much encourage you to contact the organizers, and they will be able to get all the information you and connect it with the people you would like to speak further or establish any of connections, but now we will need to finish our online part of the event and say goodbye for those people who have joined us through Zoom. So once again, thank you very much for all the presenters and all the speakers who shared their practices and knowledges with us. We are grateful for that. Thank you very much for Research Council of Lithuania, for NCPs of Research Council of Lithuania, Institut Français Lituanie, and also LINO Liaison office in Brussels for organizing this event and making an opportunity for everyone to meet. And now I would like to close this event and suggest everyone who is here to proceed for a coffee and networking session just behind this door. So thank you very much again, and hopefully see you next time. Goodbye.